Welcome into a brand new episode, crossover edition, Patriots Daily Patriots Beat. Alex Barth, Brian Hines, Taylor Kyles, Mike Kadlick. Seems like I haven't seen the boys in a while. Long bye week, but here we are. We're all back. We're good to go. I guess you guys were down hanging out at Gillette today while I was on the radio. But Patriots coming back for a big stretch run after a week off, a chance to do some self-scouting. We'll talk about that as well. But look, right before we hopped on the air here, we got some breaking. I'm not even asking the guys how they are because we got some breaking news that we all want to talk about. I would do an hour on it, frankly, because I think it's hilarious. This is peak weird football. This is exactly where I'm at. This is right in my lane. According to Ian Rappaport of NFL Network, the Colts are planning to bring in potential Hall of Fame QB Phillip Rivers into their facility Tuesday to work out and see if he may join their practice squad. This is real. Like Rappaport wrote this, quote, "This is real." Daniel Jones' season is over. Riley Leonard will start, but Rivers may be an option. So I would like to point out again, and I guess you guys did this before I came in, but I brought it up. When was the last time Phillip Rivers played an NFL game?
2020.
When COVID. There weren't fans in the stands.
He is currently a Hall of Fame semifinalist. He's in his first year on the ballot. You have to be out for 5 years. I forgot to even look up. How old is he?
44.
Today is his 44th birthday, literally today.
Happy birthday to him. Here's a job.
This rules. I need to see it. I have to see it. And I want to see him in a game. And he may be able to go out there and sling it. I'll just open up the floor. But like this
I don't know about sling it. I mean, he wasn't slinging it really in 2020, but he could hand it off to Jonathan Taylor probably.
But Brian, he's rested now.
True. His arm's been rested. And he has
now
been
very well rested, like he hasn't played football.
Now you mentioned Barth, he's a semifinalist for the Hall of Fame. This probably a dumb question, but he steps on that football field. His clock resets, right?
I don't know. And
it would have to, I would think, because he comes out of retirement and you have to be retired. But I think
the next round of voting is coming out this week. So they're going to knock that down to, I think it's 9 or 12 finalists for the ultimate ballot. I would think he'll advance just looking at the ballot. I don't know that he'll get in, but I think he'll be a finalist. Do they just pull him off the ballot and put somebody else on? Do they just trust he's not going to get in? Because I thought we were going to have this conversation. Like, we all know Belichick's going to get in, right?
Sure.
What happens if he comes back and coaches in the NFL? Would he literally be an active Hall of Famer? Like, I didn't think we were going to do this with the player, but here comes Phillip Rivers.
But that's a little different, too, because Bill would – oh, wait. Yeah, no, Bill would get voted in February.
Yeah.
And then I guess he would get hired before it starts. It is kind of wild, but I don't think he's going to – I don't think Bill's coming back to the NFL. But Phillip Rivers actually might, which is just insane.
Phillip Rivers down the stretch, Seahawks, Niners, Jaguars, Texans. Phillip Rivers would be in hell over the last
He will throw for 400 yards against the Texans. It will just be so weird and great. So anyway, that's the latest NFL news.
Is he a better option than Riley Leonard?
Yes. I'm not kidding when I say that, yes.
How bad was Riley Leonard? I didn't watch.
Well, he's hurt now. Riley Leonard got hurt in the game. That's like he hurt his knee.
Right.
So they're down to Brett Rippon, it sounds like.
Wow.
Is he better option than Brett Rippon?
Cool, man.
Probably a better option than Brett Rippon. Like at least Riley Leonard can run around and give you some of that. Like, and you could maybe do a quarterback run game with him and Jonathan Taylor that Phillip Rivers obviously isn't going to give you. But like Brett Rippon, probably Phillip Rivers at this point.
So I don't know where Rivers' arm is at. That's obviously the question. But you get into that answers to the test thing, and is he just so far ahead mentally that he's going to know what he's looking at and just simply because that offense has talent around the quarterback position. Is he simply just going to be able to make the right read and get the ball there? And it might be a little vanilla, but you bank on him kind of knowing what's coming and just making the right play, even if there's not a lot of big plays and you hope the big plays come in the ground game with Jonathan Taylor. Also, are they just bringing him in? Maybe he doesn't want to coach, but this is a way of bringing him in to help sort of teach Riley Leonard and Brett Rippon and getting him in the building without doing a coaching thing.
Well, he's coaching high school football, so maybe he does want to coach. Maybe. I don't know. Fun stuff.
Right. What a hilarious pre crossover news drop. That's electric.
That is outstanding.
Well, we were
That's
going to
great
start
stuff.
with weekend thoughts, right? So that kind of
Right.
plays
So
into it.
that leads us right into, I wanted to kind of go around the NFL before we get to the Patriots because it was a big weekend for the Patriots in terms of standings. And also, I think, we're at this point again, just learning about some of these teams that the Patriots might face in the playoffs and who do you want to see, who don't you want to see. I'll give my weekend thought first, just kind of quickly. Is there a better I don't think there's one team that's definitively better than the Patriots in the AFC. I think there's some teams where it's a toss-up. I don't think there's a team that's definitively better than the Patriots in the AFC. That being said, is there a better unit in the AFC than the Houston Texans defense? I actually think I would take them over the Broncos at this point. And we now know not only is that defense good, they travel. Travel, they'll go to the cold, they'll go to a tough environment against a good quarterback. I know the line was banged up in Houston for Kansas City in that game. That Houston defense is real deal Holyfield. That group scares me. I don't think it's impossible for the Patriots to beat the Texans in a playoff game, but I really don't want to see that group. And you already knew it was good coming into the weekend, but I think last night was a good reminder. Brian, your big thought from the weekend.
I was with you with that Texans defense. They're so fun to watch, having two dominant edge rushers like that, and then Derek Stingley on the back end. So they are ferocious. They do travel. What's their D coordinator's name? I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the mix for head coaching jobs because
I don't know. I don't know how much that thing's broken up. Him versus D'Amico Ryans. Their defense coordinator is Matt Burke.
Does he call? I think he calls plays though, right?
Does he? Okay.
I think D'Amico's kind of taken more of that CEO type role that we always talk about, and Burke's calling plays. So they've been awesome. And then on the other side of that, the Chiefs could be cooked here, even if they somehow go 4-0 and squeak into the playoffs. I know it's Patrick Mahomes and he's got the history and the legacy that you have to respect, but their offense is brutal. They lost another offensive lineman for the year at tackle. They can't run the football, outside of Chris Jones, they don't have a pass rush. So the Chiefs, Taylor, you and I were kind of talking about this going to Gillette today. They're going to need, their roster is not very good outside of Patrick Mahomes. They're going to need to hit on a couple drafts. We compared it to, they're going to need their Gronk and McCourty draft to kind of replenish the roster and then kind of kickstart this Dynasty 2.0 if they're going to want to do that around Mahomes. But Chiefs, it's tough sledding for them right now. And that Texans defense, do not want to see that in the playoffs at all.
Taylor, your big takeaway from the weekend of football.
I was going to go with this era of the Chiefs dynasty is over. And I don't think that's I think even last year, if you were to know that they would still struggle with weapons, you probably wouldn't go as far as to say, oh, they're cooked. But really, you look at their roster, it almost feels like kind of a similar situation to where the Patriots were in last year, where offensively, they have so little star power, so few guys that you really worry about. And Travis Kelce, I don't know if you guys heard the press conference where Mahomes talked about how much Kelce's put in and really made it sound like this is going to be his last season. If Patrick Mahomes doesn't have Travis Kelce, who does he have? Because even at best, you think Rashee Rice, but the guy can't stay healthy. And also, I think he's a pretty limited player where if you can scheme well enough to stop a lot of those mesh plays in the touches in space, he's in a tough spot. And even the defense, they have more star power, but Chris Jones is up there in age. This is going to be the Trent McDuffie defense with a bunch of other guys. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Chiefs attack this offseason because who knows how long this rebuild's going to take when I guess you might have a decent draft slot, but you have Pat Mahomes. So you're never going to be so bad that you're getting a top pick where you can really get a lot of those premier players. So it's going to be a huge test for a front office that hasn't really done a whole lot, frankly. Another thing we talked about, Brian, to inspire confidence. When you look at some of their drafts, maybe they hit on their first couple picks and then it's guys that you don't really know about or guys that having notably failed. So yeah, man, it's that dynasty is done and dead, and the Bills are in a different spot where you can see with a good offseason, they can get right back in the race and be at the top. But the Chiefs, man, I just wonder what it looks like for the next couple of years and how far they ultimately fall.
And then there's also how much longer is Andy Reid going to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's the one thing that they're going to have to. I can't imagine Andy Reid's going to do another 10 years. That's what they're going to have to navigate that the Patriots didn't. Is it Spagnuolo and they just try to keep it seamless? Do they go outside the organization? Patrick Mahomes, player coach, right? Who knows? Mike, your big takeaway from the weekend.
The real big takeaway was it was freaking awesome to sit on my couch and watch Red Zone all day. That's always a fun little bye week activity.
Can I sneak a take in here?
Absolutely.
I am like slowly off of red zone.
Because of the ads?
Okay, because the ads?
No.
How about the noise at the beginning? Did you guys have
there's
that?
that.
Static.
Yeah. But
That was crazy.
if there's no like good game on, fine. But there was a couple of weeks ago, I forget if it was the Thursday or Monday night game. There's like a really good game in the 1 o'clock window I wanted to watch. Obviously, you had Bills Bengals, and when you actually sit down and watch the game, you get the flow of the game, you get all of that, and it's not the same watching red zone. Red zone to me is the perfect second screen experience because you stay on track with what's going on around the league. You see all the big plays, but like I have that muted on the second screen. I'm watching a game on screen one. I enjoyed that. Sorry, I just wanted to get that in there.
So I'll revise my take. It was great to sit on the couch and watch NFL football all day and not have to worry about
I'm good with you having the take. I just wanted to throw that out there.
No,
We're
for
talking
sure.
about sports today.
But as far as also first one, I know you already said it a little bit there,
Yeah.
Alex, at the beginning. The Patriots can basically play with anybody in this league. I firmly believe that after being able to dive in and watch a little bit more football. But I mean, the other one was just it's kind of obvious, but like every single play in an NFL game matters so much. And it's like you look at the Buffalo and Cincinnati game where Joe Burrow's rolling, they're up 10. They have all the momentum. He had been 8-0 or 9-0 in his last 8-9 starts. And then all of a sudden it just crumbles away from two quick interceptions that go the other way that, not to say they weren't his fault, but they were a little bit fluky. One was a tip and one was just a slip ball. And all of a sudden the Cincinnati's playoff hopes just run away. And then the other one was Shedeur Sanders in Cleveland, who has a 4-touchdown, 350-yard day, looks like the real deal, goes down, throws a touchdown. He puts it on Harold Fannin for what looked like it was going to be a game-tying touchdown. And then all of a sudden, the two-point conversion, they don't get it. They take him off the field. Quinshon Judkins is running around like an idiot, and it had to go backwards. And all of a sudden,
careful, he watches this podcast.
Yeah, right. I know. I don't know why I hesitated. Quinshon Judkins was running around like a jackass, and then all of a sudden, the game's over. The Browns lose, and that thing's done. So it reminded me a little bit of like that Pats Broncos AFC Championship game in, I think it was 2013, maybe a little later, when they go down, Gronk scores the touchdown, and then two-point conversion, they don't get it, and it's all over. Like, there's just so many swings on one play, and now we're not talking about Shedeur's, big game as much as we were just from one play. So it's crazy, but it was fun to watch football all weekend.
Sorry, I have to go back to this because Mike Garofalo just added a tidbit. Phillip Rivers, I forgot about this, signed a one-day contract this summer to retire with the Chargers.
Oh, yeah.
What a slap in the face that organization deserves a slap
man.
in the face after what they did to the people of San Diego, where Rivers spent most of his career. And I know that.
Do you remember his retirement speech or post did not mention the word Los Angeles once?
Yeah.
Look,
I know some people in San Diego don't love the Chargers, and they might like seeing Rivers do this to the organization, but what a smack in the face to that organization, and they deserved one at that. I'm not saying that to Rip Rivers. Speaking of old quarterbacks, my one other take from this weekend, that's the best I've seen Aaron Rodgers look in probably since the Packers.
So he had 5 big-time throws.
Yeah. I don't know if he can do that. I didn't know he could do that at all anymore. I don't know if he can do that. Like, how can he replicate that? If he can replicate that, the Steelers actually scare me a little bit. If that was just division rivalry game, for whatever reason, he's like super tight with Tomlin. He wanted to shut the media up, and that was like the last gasp, whatever. But I haven't seen that version of Rodgers in a long time. You're going to get that version of Rodgers. And obviously, Metcalf's okay. I know he had kind of a medical issue last night and this morning. I haven't seen an update on that. Last I saw, he had stayed overnight in the hospital for some stomach issues. But
supposed to be coming home going back to Pittsburgh today.
Okay.
So I think
look, I don't think like the Patriots can't beat them. They almost beat them despite turning the ball over 5 times earlier this year. But like, I didn't know Rodgers still had that. Tip the cap.
That throw to DK in the first quarter, just down the sideline, chucked it, put it right in the bread basket, was a dime. And then you mentioned Packers, Aaron Rodgers. You see he hit the freaking discount double check when he scored his rushing touchdown?
Yeah, he had
ridiculous.
The Packers were playing the Bears, and he was just naturally pissed off, even though he wasn't playing in that game.
Yeah, right.
Feel it.
All right, let's.
Can I say one more really quick thing also?
Go for it.
Feels like the past 2 years, the football gods have really been trying to drive home the fact that football is not all about the quarterback. Like how last year it was a big run the damn ball kind of season where the way the Eagles won, it was very clear that if you do really invest in the offensive line and you obviously have a great running back as well, that can be a way to success. In this season, it's just like Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, also Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. Like, obviously health plays a factor. There's different circumstances, but you're seeing that even these quarterbacks that just live at the top of their position, if the circumstances aren't right, not only are they not going to win a Super Bowl or make it to the conference championship, they might not even make the playoffs. And that's just like a really weird reality that I feel like now we're starting to ease into, of like, wow, this really might be a young man's game where Caleb Williams and Bo Nix and Drake Maye are some of the, maybe not Caleb Williams, but like some of the best quarterbacks on the best teams in their respective conferences. And it's nice to have Drake Maye and what he brings. But again, just it can't all be the quarterback. You really need like a good receiver, good supporting cast to get these guys at least even past the finish line of going into the postseason. And this season is, last year was run the damn ball, and this season it really is like, nope, have them supported and have a fairly well-rounded team, or you will not make it very far.
All right. That being said, we're about 15 minutes in. I think it is time we get to the New England Patriots here.
One more thought.
Right.
We do have a super chat from our guy Nelson.
Okay.
So shout out the super chat. I know we talked about, and I kind of mentioned the Pats can play with anybody, but if there is one team, who is stopping the Patriots from going to win the Super Bowl?
If they don't get the 1 seed, I mean, going to Denver, I don't care how much Evan kicks his feet at this. Like, going to Denver is tough. I don't think the Patriots can't win in Denver. That's probably the toughest potential playoff game when you look at the landscape. I think it's that or Buffalo, because they're either going to have to beat the Bills the second time in a year, which is very hard. And I keep giving this rant and meaning to look up this number, and then I forget, but I will do it, especially if the Patriots win on Sunday. Beating a team 3 times in a year, like that makes me nervous. So at Denver, if it's at Denver, Buffalo, just by the nature of it being a divisional game. Look, the Bills are weaker than they've been, but I believe in the power of divisional football. Look how close the Broncos and Raiders have played each other. Was that a 1-score game yesterday? Realistically, no, probably not. Shout out Pete Carroll for taking the points, but divisional football, it should make you nervous no matter what team you're a fan of, no matter the setting, whatever.
And if you play Buffalo, you always just, like, Josh Allen could Josh Allen and score 6 touchdowns, right? And single-handedly have one of those games and beat you, kind of like he did, yesterday with some of those big runs down the stretch, just to, put the nail in the coffin for the Bengals, maybe. So it's probably Buffalo. I'm not that as scared as Denver, just because it is Bo Nix. So I'm probably Buffalo or Houston, just back to that Houston Texans defense and those edge rushers, especially if Will Campbell isn't healthy, right? And your depth on the offensive line is down. So I know the Texans offense isn't even as well-rounded as a unit, but we've seen CJ Stroud play good ball late in the year, and I would be more scared of CJ Stroud probably than Bo Nix. So Buffalo or Houston for me.
Taylor.
Throw Houston in that mix. I think that's fair. I don't think that you would see like a repeat of the Bills game, which I think that's going to be fried in my brain forever, just watching those edge rushers tee off on the tackles. I think the Patriots would do a better job of slowing those guys down. But even still, it's not just the defensive line. That's just the first wave. Then you also have to throw on an outstanding secondary that's also very well coached. And I think the scariest thing for this Patriots team would be an offense that has a quarterback who can make some magic, like what CJ Stroud was doing yesterday, and also some higher end receivers who can make some big plays even against tight coverage. And I feel like the Texans are better equipped to do that. And especially when you talk about the defense and the offensive supporting cast, I don't think Buffalo has that, because their defense is good, not great. We know what their receivers are. And the Broncos, you're not scared of Bo Nix. You got to respect him, but I'm not going into that game worried about him. I just think the Texans give you a lot more to go in and be concerned about.
Yeah, I respect you guys putting the Texans on there. For me, it's like Bills and at Broncos, biggest issue. And then Texans and home versus Broncos would be like the next half step down, not a full step down, like
so
a
where
half
do you
step
guys
down.
slide in the Trevor Lawrence Jacksonville Jaguars?
No.
I haven't
They're
watched
9-4.
I need to watch and see if this is real.
So do
I like Liam Cohn, but Jacksonville coming, especially if they have to come here.
Right.
Yeah, no, I know. I do think I like how you mentioned that Houston is able to travel, Barth, because it's one thing to, having home field advantage for the Patriots could be huge and could end up, especially against a team like Denver with the 1 seed. But does it help you that much if you're at Houston versus you're here? Because the way they, were able to take care of business against Kansas City was interesting, mixed in with the fact that CJ Stroud has shown, like you said, Brian, to play late in these seasons and play well. I mean, he's competed against Kansas City, I think, twice now at Kansas City in the playoffs. So I think Houston is the number 1 team, just the way they were able to, take it to both Josh Allen and Pat Mahomes over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I still like the Patriots defense, and I know Stroud's been good, but I like the Patriots defense, and I think that there is a home field advantage that the Patriots have there. Again, the Houston defense can travel, but that doesn't mean that it's all going to be perfect for them. All right, now 20 minutes in. Let's get to the Patriots. So we're going to kind of do the bye week, especially when it's late in the year, is about self-scouting. So what a lot of the coaches we use this week for is they go back and they look at the film, and to sum it up, I don't think this is literally how they approach it, but this is how I've heard it described, is you look at it like you would approach an opponent, and where are the strengths, where are the weaknesses, how would we attack them, how would we, what would we not want to do against this team, and then they use that to inform, okay, here's what we need to be better at, here's what we not want to be good at, or here's what we maybe not do as much. I had the Patriots Hub podcast with David Andrews today, which is up now. People can check out after this. And he kind of talked about, you look at the things that you're doing excellent. How do you build off of that? You look at the things that you're doing okay. Are there ways to improve them, or do you need to throw them out? And then you look at the things you're not doing well, and you throw them out, and you figure out how to replace them. That's kind of what you spend the bye week doing. So we're going to kind of do that exercise here for most of the rest of the show. We'll do a little Patriots Bills talk at the end. And we're going to kind of break it down. So we'll start. There's two kind of ways you look at it. There's the personnel side and the scheme side. So we'll start personnel. We'll start on offense. Taylor, we'll start with you. One player you would either like to see play more or play less, or maybe be used a different way than he was used over the start of the season, or if there was like a trend emerging maybe the last couple weeks that you would like to see continued and maybe built on.
I'm going to go with the easy answer. It's Kyle Williams. And I think that it's not even necessarily that I think he needs to play more, because I do think they mix him in a decent amount. I just want to see more touches, because I think late in the season, everybody needs somebody to step up and start doing more than they were doing earlier in the season to really be that difference maker where, after a while, not necessarily that things get stale, but people catch on to your tendencies, and it just gives you a little bit extra life. And seeing that touchdown from Kyle Williams against the who they just played? Against the Giants. I was thinking
a long week
scheme. I was thinking Buffalo for some reason, but that kind of thing is what you want to see more of, because when you look at a lot of Drake's deep receptions, especially, a lot of them are in a pretty tight coverage. Kyle Williams got more open than I've seen anybody get on one of those vertical routes, other than maybe Kayshawn on that double move when they were in Tennessee. And not even just the verticality, but like underneath. I'd love to see him get the Rashee Rice diet where there's some mesh plays, or get clever and put him in the backfield like you did with DeMario Douglas. Like, those are things I could see them implementing more when they get into the playoffs, and it's something they've never shown in the regular season. Then they whip out like 5 wrinkles that completely catch them off guard. So I think Kyle Williams' explosiveness and ability, as we've seen, to score instantly from the other side of the field or from damn near midfield, is something that could give them enough juice to maybe propel them past anything that other teams may catch up on and start to kind of use against them or exploit as they get to the later part of the season.
Mike.
I'm interested to see if they can, and maybe this is a little bit more scheme related, but player wise, like, use Pop Douglas a little bit more and get him the ball in space a little bit more. Especially now it's getting colder. I know Drake Maye has shown an ability to throw the football downfield, but sometimes you just need to win slow and kind of dink and dunk and obviously run the football. But if you can get Pop Douglas a little bit more, slot reps, quick throws in space, and let him run, I think that's just going to add another, dynamic piece of your offense. I know we already have it, and I think they've already been relatively dynamic throughout the start of the season. But getting him a little bit more involved, he paced them in, I think, yards, and he was second in receptions last year, if my memory serves me right. So I know that, the team has gotten better around him as well, but he's a good player. And early in the season, Taylor, we talked about it on our show. It looked like Pop Douglas, was kind of being phased out of this thing. He started to take a turn here. Getting him going even more would be exciting to see, because obviously, when he gets the ball, he can be dangerous.
Him deep
Brian.
too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, keep Pop Douglas vertical. Like, that was working earlier this year, and they've gotten away from it a little bit more of that for sure. Brian.
So I was going to go Kyle, just because, again, Taylor hit on a lot of the reasons. He does bring that element to the offense that no one else in that room does really bring. Even on that underneath stuff, like talking to him after the Cincy game, like he was upset he didn't score on that underneath one and broke that tackle. And that was, 40 yards away from the end zone. But since Taylor hit on that, I'll go with Drake, and specifically Drake's legs, and using maybe the quarterback run game a little bit more in these high pressure situations, maybe in the playoffs. I'm sure we'll talk about some of the red zone issues later on in this show, but they haven't been good in the red zone. They haven't been good in short yardage rushing situations on any part of the field. And I wonder if that's just the last piece of the puzzle to get Drake and get the threat of his legs. And they have called some RPOs, but either he's kind of hand the football off or just not choosing to keep it and run it himself. So they're in the playbook. We know they're in the playbook. And I do just wonder if they're waiting for when they really need it. And maybe that's this week against Buffalo with the division on the line. And then we start to see maybe that quarterback run game and just the threat of his legs to help in those short yardage situations and down in the red zone.
So I was going to count that as my schematic change. Use Drake's legs in the red zone. I'd rather him run not enough than too much, but not enough. There's a gap between not enough and 0, and they have some wiggle room there, like specifically red zone and maybe like late game short yardage. I don't want him running a lot. I really don't. You got to be able to run the ball in the red zone. You have to be able to run it. If you can't run it with the running backs, which gets to my player adjustment, I want to see the Josh McDaniels running back plan for this backfield. Like it's been between performance and injuries. It's kind of been all over the place. Travion Henderson is now healthy, and he looks a lot more comfortable than he did in September and October. Ramondre Stevenson's now healthy. He was running really hard in that Giants game. He was running angry. I haven't seen him run like that in a long time. Credit to him. Like that's when he's at his best. That's the guy you pound the table for. That's the guy you signed to the extension. But I don't want to see either one get overworked. Like Henderson's had some massive workloads the last couple of weeks. I want to see them get back to, 50-50-ish, maybe some games a little more one than the other, a little more situationally. I understand both guys can pass block. Stevenson a little bit better. Henderson maybe a little better catching the football. But I want to see the Josh McDaniels running back usage. I want to see them getting those guys in and out, maybe mixing in Terrell Jennings a little bit in some of those short yardage spots. But it's getting cold now. It's getting nasty. I think it's going to be like 24 degrees for the game on Sunday. Nobody wants to stop the run in cold weather. Nobody wants to stop
the heaters.
It hurts. Like this is when look at the 2018 Patriots. They just started running the ball right down people's throats, and nobody wanted anything to do with it. If it's Jacksonville, a warm weather team coming up here in January, get this downhill run game going, get both running backs going. That's what I'm looking for coming out of the bye. All right, we'll get to schematic changes in a second, but first, let's hear from our friends at PrizePicks.
All right. There we go. Want to make sure we had our B-roll because this episode and every episode of the Patriots Daily Patriots Beat crossover is brought to you by PrizePicks. It's the holiday season, the best time of year for sports. We got bowl games, basketball matchups, playoff pushes, and more, and it's all happening at once. And while you and I are out here making decisions every day on PrizePicks, it always feels good to be right. PrizePicks now has a new feature. They got early payouts, so if your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. We got a big NFL game, or a big football game coming up tonight, Monday Night Football. We have the Chargers, we have the Eagles coming up. We're going to do a crossover lineup here in just a second, and if it hits, we will post it, and you guys can keep following us and all of our plays over at PrizePicks. As you know, super simple to play. You just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats, and if you get your picks right, you can cash in. So download the PrizePicks app today. Use code CLNS, and you get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, that's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. All right, here we go. Let's do it. PrizePicks lineup crossover edition. Barth, you go first. Pick a play here. What do you got?
What are we doing?
Justin Herbert's playing, right? He's active.
Justin Herbert is playing, yes.
Okay.
This is for tonight.
Yeah.
I see 2. Oh, I see a devil there. Which is the one that adds the multiplier? We're doing this Patriots beat style. We maxing it out.
Demon. We go demons only.
You guys
Or
go
hard
demons
on the
only?
demons.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Right, but I forget. What's the green demon versus the red demon?
The red one is the one you want. The red
All
one's
right,
the multiplier.
give me Saquon Barkley. Just
Saquon Tug.
touchdown is a multiplier. Yeah, give me that.
All right.
Is my
Brian?
guy Lad on here?
Lad. Let's go, Lad. Receiving yards? More or less than 50? More? All right. Taylor, you see anything that
AJ Brown less than 5 receptions.
Ooh, okay. Keeping the drama going in Philly. Taylor,
Oh,
known
yeah.
for the,
Hear that
known
pop,
for the
baby.
drama.
They have a positive vibes bunny though in their locker room.
Oh, that's right. You
Damn,
know what?
I switch.
Yeah, I was going to say, just because of that, I'm taking Jalen Hurts to have more than 32.5 rushing yards. Here's our lineup. We have Saquon, more than half a rushing or receiving touchdown. Lad McConkey, more than 54.5 receiving yards. AJ Brown, less than 5 receptions, and we got Jalen Hurts going for more than 32.5 rushing yards. Play $10, win 10.
Did we just lose Mike?
What just happened?
Mike, you're still on. I think you're muted, but you're still on.
What's happening?
All right.
Play $10, win 95. And you can use promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup over on PrizePicks, where it is good to be right. There we go.
What happened?
Appreciate you, Brian. What happened? I don't know.
Oh,
My
right.
internet went in.
And it was
Got
supposed to be Mike's turn to answer, so we're going to put the pressure right back on him here. So we just talked about kind of what players we want to see used differently in the second half, this kind of self-scouting. Schematically, Mike, what do you want to see the Patriots do differently on offense coming out of the bye?
Yeah, my answer is kind of the same one that Brian had on the other side with the player. I want to see Drake run the football a little bit more. And I know you don't want to put him in danger. You don't want him to get hurt and what have you, but there's a way to do both. I think as we know, he's a dynamic runner. He's one of the best athletes on this team. And especially, as Brian said too, down in the red zone where you're having these issues, you're having struggles. You can't put the ball in. You're settling for 3 too much. Let him go make a play. And I have a hard time kind of figuring out whether they are truly not allowing him to run or it just hasn't been there. I know his quarterback sneaking abilities haven't been great, but there's a way to get him using his legs more, and I think we've seen it earlier in the year. I mean, even last year, he ran for almost 100 yards against the Tennessee Titans. So there's a way that he can dice up defenses with those legs, and I think that should – and I'm sure that it's there, and they're probably, in a way, saving it for the stretch run because they're going to need it a little bit more. And frankly, when you get to weeks 16, 17, 18, and then a postseason, you're not as worried about staying healthy the whole time, and you need to win at all costs. So I think that's the number one thing I want to see is them just using their athletic quarterback to do more than just throw the football.
Real quick here before we move on, little football breaking news, a little more. On the other side of the age spectrum, Heisman finalists. Emmanuel Mendoza, Jeremiah Love, Diego Pavia, Julian Sayin. Real quick, going across. Who we got, Brian?
Mendoza.
Taylor.
I've heard of one of these people, so Mendoza.
Mike.
I'll throw Sayin in the mix. I think his numbers have been better, but, winners win, and Mendoza was awesome the other night, and I think that you could have saw a little bit more from Sayin there, but at the end of the day, he had the better numbers throughout the regular season, and so I'll go with him.
It's
and
going to
if
be
Sayin
Mendoza.
doesn't get drafted, he's a slam dunk for a podcast title. He was born for it.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be Mendoza. I think it probably should be Mendoza. Love has a strong case. Love has a stronger case than people give him credit for, but
no love for Diego Pavia here?
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised he's on there. I didn't know that. I didn't think he'd get to a finalist. Like he deserves to be in the discussion, but I was kind of hoping J-Rod would end up in there. Future Patriot.
I was wondering that as well. He's electric. Did you see the linebacker, the other kid? His name's slipping me. He had the 2 interceptions and almost had a third.
Yeah. They got a heck of a defense. We'll get to that. Well, me and Brian will do a draft related college football preview show. That's coming soon, but let's get back to it. Brian, the schematic adjustment you want to see from the Patriots heading into the bye.
Yeah,
coming out of the bye.
I don't think they have to do much throwing the football in the pass game, right? Because they've been so good. Maybe, we're bound to see a couple trick plays, I bet, from Josh McDaniels down the stretch. So the answer is probably in the run game. And, I talked about getting Drake more involved with his legs and also just elsewhere in the run game. We've seen them try to find answers for these short yardage, whether they're going unbalanced on the offensive line. We had a couple snaps against the Giants where Vidarian Lowe is lined up next to Morgan Moses. We went wildcat with a direct snap to Ramondre Stevenson. They had the extra lineman with Dyer Munford in there a couple times. They're just trying to find these answers. I thought they also ran pretty well. They didn't do it much, but some good outside zone reps. I think that was in the Giants game, or was it the Bengals game, Taylor? I'm
not going to tell you because you took my answer.
Okay, sorry. I think it was the Giants. I think Travion had a couple good outside zone reps in the Giants game. So they're trying to find these answers to find a little bit more success in the ground game. I do think Drake's legs can be part of that, but I wonder if they still try to lean on some of these other things throughout the rest of the season to try and get just a little bit of more success in the run game.
All right, Taylor, let's see how you can build on that.
Yeah, if you look at the numbers, they're one of the most efficient outside zone teams in the NFL. It's the only thing they're good at. When you look at all of their gap runs, they're actually one of the worst, despite the fact that they use it at such a high rate. Now, I understand why they use it so much because it does fit their personnel. And when they run behind Morgan Moses, they average like 7 yards a carry. It's something crazy. You take away Tampa, which obviously is a big reason for that. It's still like 5 or almost 6 yards a carry. So I think they need to lean more into outside zone because, one, I think it fits Travion Henderson very well. I think once you get especially Will Campbell and Jared Wilson back, it fits what they do best. And I think it's where Garrett Wilson is able to thrive because he can use his athleticism. He can get to the second level versus when you're trying to get downhill and he struggles to create that displacement, which really is a big reason they struggled so much. And honestly, Brian, like you mentioned, the extra tight ends for one is something I like to see more of. When we had David Andrews on our podcast, he mentioned that one of the biggest issues with the run game was the tight ends. He's like, I love Hunter Henry. I don't want to disparage him, but he's not there to be a run blocker. And he's right. Austin Hooper is solid there as well, but he's not a great run blocker. And I think when you did have Thayer Munford and some of these bigger guys, when they run block effectively, you do see there's a very big difference in the amount of push they're able to get. So if you want a run game that people have to respect, I think you lean into that outside zone, which has been your strength, even though you don't call it a ton. I think it's also because it's harder for them to build off of it. I feel like they've kind of gotten away from a lot of their outside zone run actions and leaned more towards their gap stuff, their power, which makes sense. But yeah, I just like to see more outside zone and get those bigger bodies in there because when it gets cold, you don't really want to run to set anything up necessarily. You're running to run like they did against the Giants, and that's going to help you out a lot, I think.
All right, there's your offensive adjustments before we get to the defense. I think Mike's got to tell us about some meat.
Let's do it. Let's talk about the meats. Look at the meats. Look at the meats on screen between the two buns right there. It is the holiday season, so don't forget to get your unforgettable gifts at Omaha Steaks. They deliver the world's best steak experience. And right now they have their Sizzle All the Way sale going on right now. 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. And our listeners right now get an extra $35 off with promo code Patriots at checkout. It's holiday magic made easy. Place your orders by 6 p.m. and you will get things will ship in the same day at Omaha Steaks. They have unrivaled quality and variety, and every bite is backed with a 100% guarantee. So save big on gourmet gifts and more holiday favorites with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com. Again, 50% off site-wide sale during their Sizzle All the Way sale. And for our listeners, you get an extra $35 off with code Patriots at checkout. Terms apply. See site for details. Again, omahasteaks.com, code Patriots.
All right, let's move on to the defense, which you could also, Taylor, you got to hold that closer to the mic for that to work. Taylor was playing.
Sorry, I can't hear it. I tried.
I got a little bit.
I saw you laugh, so I was like, okay, they must.
I heard it, but I didn't know. I thought it was like something, one of the tabs I have open, and then I saw you holding your phone. You got to hold that close to the mic next time. Let's get to the defense here, and keep in mind, the defense arguably needs more adjustments than the offense. I think we would all agree on that. The defense was kind of faded into the bye a little more than the offense did. And Milton Williams is still going to miss a couple more games. I know Will Campbell's out as well, but there's only so many schematic changes you can make with the left tackle or personnel changes. It's just kind of the backups in, and you got to work with that. So factoring in that they're not going to have Milton Williams for these two big games, or you can go kind of away from that. Brian, a player you would like to see used more, used less, or used differently coming out of the bye?
Well, it's not on the defensive line, but I'll go Del Pettis because when he's been out there, he's been pretty impressive. He's made key plays in some key spots, especially guarding tight ends. So I'd like to see maybe a little bit more dime looks just coming out of the bye and get Del Pettis on the field because they have not been good covering tight ends. And you got Dalton Kincaid this week who put up 100 yards on you back in week 5. You have Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely next week. Darren Waller down the stretch who has been productive. I don't know how good he's been, but been productive for Miami when he's been healthy. So they're going to have some tight ends. They'll see him in the playoffs. So Del Pettis, when he's been out there, he's taken advantage of his opportunities. So more Del Pettis, I would say, coming out of the bye here.
Taylor.
Del Pettis is also the key to more cover one robber because when you have extra defensive backs, you can use one of those deep safeties to rob the middle versus having to have them line up against tight ends. I'm going to say Elijah Ponder, and I think he has to earn it. I'm not saying like he's played so well he should play more. He's made his mistakes. He's not necessarily as disciplined as you need against mobile quarterbacks, which will obviously be huge, even though he has the athleticism, like that play where he chases down Justin Fields. Like you see a lot of the rawness, but you also see the talent. And last week, what they did against the Giants, where we kind of talked about when Milton Williams went down, you were going to have to get creative schematically to make up for that. You saw him use like Keon White in that stand-up pass rusher role in spots where you would usually see Milton Williams. So that's how they're getting more athleticism against interior offensive linemen. You're also seeing him and his ability to move around in that fluidity on stunts, which is how he got his sack last week. So I think using Elijah Ponder creatively, also as you face more and more of these mobile quarterbacks, I think his skill set's going to be valuable. But he's also going to need to continue to grow and hopefully take some kind of jump where you can really rely on him. So it's not just that we need him on the field because Harold Landry's banged up. It's more, geez, this kid's really coming on. Let's find more ways to get him on the field. He's starting to earn it, just need to be more consistent.
Mike.
I'll throw Gonzo in the mix. He's been good. I'm not taking anything away from him, but whether it is a scheme adjustment, playing more man, upticking that way, just getting him in opportunities to make even more plays, get a couple interceptions under his belt. And now that could just be maybe selfish or more of like a Patriot, like a fan view of it, right? Where, you want to see your best player on defense making more plays, but he hasn't necessarily been bad. I know there's been a couple times everyone, especially me, that Mitchell Tinsley play is burned into my brain from him. That's the play you got to make against a guy named Mitchell Tinsley. But
he fell out of the Pro Bowl voting this last round. And
yeah,
I have to wonder if that was part of it.
AFC is crazy for quarterback Pro Bowl voting.
Oh,
by the way.
Marcus Jones is second.
Yeah,
that's incredible. So, but yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? We kind of talked about it, Taylor, when we did the All-Pro Bowl thing. Like, kind of surprised that Gonzo isn't even higher in the mix because he is such a great player. So, I just would like to see him, bump up the numbers a little bit, I guess, even though sometimes stats are for losers. I think that you can get him involved a little bit more there.
Get some turnovers. Got to get some turnovers.
That was going to be my schematic one. Just less of this off coverage. Less of this, and I get they're going to be bend don't break to an extent. And oddly enough, the Bills were the one team they didn't do it against, at least in the first meeting. So maybe we see less of it this week. But you have Christian Gonzalez and Carlton Davis. They're both playing well. And they're big, strong guys. Get up in the face of these receivers. Like, get a little physical, get a little aggressive, go for some of these turnovers, like Taylor said. My player adjustment, kind of like what Taylor said, I'm going to look at it from a different angle, though. Whether it's Elijah Ponder, whether it's why am I blanking on his name? Caleb Murphy. Harold Landry has not looked like himself since that injury against the Saints. You hope the bye week kind of buys him some time and he gets back in. He'll still make a play or two, but you can tell there's some plays where he's laboring a little bit, and credit to him for what he's playing through. I don't think he's like taking plays off or anything like that. I think the fact he's out there is impressive, but he's clearly dealing with something. So maybe getting a little more of a rotation there. And I guess you can throw Anthony Jennings in this mix too. But one of these other edge guys, maybe being, or rotating them, just taking a little bit off Landry's plate in some less high impact situations. So when you get to the 2-minute drills, the third downs, like where you really need him, he's a little more fresh. Now he may be a guy that doesn't want to come off the field. And I don't know if he'd be on board with that plan, but I think he's got good plays left in him. But I just think he's somebody you maybe need to manage a little bit more. And they've shown they're not afraid to manage the workload of some of their older players.
Braden Swinson, any hope for him?
Braden Swinson could be another one. Like just somebody to kind of take a little bit off Landry's plate. And then maybe like ideally it would be you kind of do that for the next couple games and he gets a chance to really, as much as you can playing week to week, rest up. And then when you get to the playoffs, his role expands again. That would be what I'm looking for ideally with him. Schematically, Brian or Taylor, I think. No, it's Brian.
I went Dell first.
Oh, okay. So Taylor, schematically, what do you want to see change the most on defense coming out of the bye?
If I'm going with an improvement, I would just like to see more disruption from the run defense. And I am coming around a bit because it was very jarring that they went from a historically good run defense in the first half of the year to very quickly declining to the point of like in the stretch after that being one of the worst run defenses in the NFL. I think right now they're average, but that's because they've been kind of polar opposites. There were signs of improvement against the Giants, and I got to give Corey Durden was a big reason for that. And also the fact you don't have Milton Williams creating disruption, that's part of it. But you need to build that wall that they always talk about, and not just build that wall, but you want to dent the line of scrimmage. And I feel like what's happening more often than not is they're the ones being dented, but they're not getting mauled, where, okay, you give up a couple yards, but then Christian Barmore makes the tackle or Corey Durden makes the tackle. You need more plays like what Corey Durden did against the Giants, where he is putting linemen into the backfield and forcing running backs to have to adjust and then allowing everybody else to rally, because I think, yes, like they haven't been terrible. And the fact they play so many light boxes, the fact that they played some more man coverage heavy schemes has put them in situations that make it less advantageous to defend the run. And they're okay with giving that up. And I'm cool with that against most teams. But I still think you want to go into the playoffs with the confidence of knowing that, they can't run on us, period. We're going to be the ones that dictate on the line of scrimmage against run and pass. So that's the biggest thing I'd like to see improve, because the pass rush, I understand why it is where it is, but especially once you get Kairos Tonga back, I think they have the tools to be better against the run, and we've seen it. They just got to do it.
Mike.
Yeah, this is building off Taylor's and your, frankly, thoughts on, guys like Caleb Murphy and now I'm blanking on the other
Elijah
one.
Ponder.
Elijah Ponder. Thank you. There we go. Just get after the passer more. I know they've been more disruptive, I think, than the numbers say, but they have the second fewest sacks of playoff teams right now, behind only the Jacksonville or AFC playoff teams, behind the Jaguars with 27. For more context, Broncos have 55 and the Texans have 36. So you got to bring the quarterback down more. You got to make that happen. And, whether that is, through some different, tendencies, if you will, blitz a little bit more, play some more line games, figure it out that way. But they do have to get better there, because, you're going to be playing your Josh Allens. You're going to be, I guess, Bo Nix isn't. Note that the AFC quarterback picture kind of stinks right now, but Josh Allen, CJ Stroud, get those guys off their mark in the postseason. You're going to have to do that by bringing them down.
And to your point, Mike, real quick, because a lot of what I think the Patriots have said about their lack of sacks is, quarterbacks are getting the ball out quickly, which is true a lot of the time. But if you look at next-gen stats, they have the 13th slowest average time to throw faced. So it'd be one thing if you're like top 10 and they're getting it out in like 2.5 or like 2.6 seconds. You're talking about quarterbacks are averaging about 2.85 seconds. So it starts to kind of chip away at that argument of, we're just playing like Tua and all these guys that are like Aaron Rodgers. Like, no, you're playing some guys that have held on to it a bit longer, and you're still not getting the sacks. So 100%, Mike, that's got to be an improvement. And one that Corey Alexander mentioned in the interview I did that's dropping tomorrow. So,
Brian, what do you got?
Good plug. For as much as we talk about the red zone offense, I think the red zone defense definitely needs to improve as well. They're giving up touchdowns in the red zone 73% of the time, which is dead last in football. EPA per play, they're 31st, 50% success rate, 30th in the red zone, and they're allowing 100% of goal to go situations and in touchdowns on the year. So if a team is goal to go, it is a touchdown on the year. And that is just not a way to win if you are in the playoffs or in these big games again down the stretch. So red zone offense has to improve, but the red zone defense has not been good really throughout the year. And that's an area where, if you're not holding teams to 3 and forcing some field goals and giving up touchdowns, every time that they get in those situations, that can come down to cost you in these big moments and maybe end your season.
All right, before we wrap it up here, the Patriots Bills thought Doug Kide, who hosts the Patch Chat podcast, which you can also find on the channel, really good question on Twitter that I want to ask you guys. And this goes back to how we opened the show with Phillip Rivers. Remove Tom Brady. Which retired quarterback would you most trust to lead you to a Super Bowl today? That's a hard question. Because my first thought, honestly, I went to Breeze, but it's like his shoulder was shot. Like, I think his game, the way he played was timeless, but like physically he broke down. So I would assume his shoulder is still an issue. So it's a tough one.
Josh Rosen.
That's a bad answer.
That's a terrible answer.
Man, Johnny Manziel.
Ben Roethlisberger.
He couldn't move.
What?
Yeah, he did. Did he like?
Yeah, he was throwing less than 10 yards. Literally, I tracked this. It was insane. He literally did not throw more than 10 yards downfield. It was insane.
All right, so.
But didn't he lead the league in passing like his second to last year?
Because
that was in 2018.
Slants. It was all slants, and he had good receivers who actually made stuff happen. But dude, it was. They knew it was coming. There was that one playoff game where literally it was the only thing he threw, and somehow it still kind of worked. That makes me so angry.
His age 36 season, he threw for 5,100 yards.
That's electric.
His last year, age 39, he threw for 3,700, went 9-7. Oh, by the way, that was more recent than Phillip Rivers.
Wasn't that also because they couldn't run the ball? Like they had no run game at all.
Yeah, that whole team was a mess.
Ben's my answer. I'm going with Ben. F it. I don't care.
A couple people in the chat said Andrew Luck. I don't know where he's at physically after losing all that weight. But
I don't want to do that to him mentally. I think I don't want to drag him back to this hellscape.
He is He's 36 already. Oh, I'm old.
What about Eli Manning?
No.
His arm was shot too.
Is he going to get that defense back
He got
with
benched
him?
for Geno Smith, didn't he?
Is he going to get that defense back with him?
True.
I'm trying to think of like what.
It's really hard to pick quarterbacks who aged out of the NFL. Like
I know.
Foles. Ryan Fitzpatrick. Ryan
Fitzpatrick. No.
Josh McCown.
No. Derek Carr.
Foles did it. Foles straight up did it.
I feel like
barely, and that was almost 10 years ago now. Derek Carr?
No.
I mean, yeah, bro. He's probably the best you're going to get.
Probably the best option, Derek Carr.
Who else retired last year? Or left?
Here's a list of recently retired quarterbacks.
Tannehill technically retire?
I don't think so, but Vrabel connection.
Don't say that in front of Vrabel.
Recently retired quarterbacks: Eli Manning, Alex Smith. Does his leg still work? He played after that injury, right?
Yeah, but I don't trust that. That thing was mangled.
Drew Brees, Ben, RG3. He's probably been out of the game a little too long. A former guest of Taylor's show. Josh McCown, Ryan Fitzpatrick.
He's out of the outro for a reason. That dude's a weirdo.
Give me Blake Bortles.
Alex Tanny.
Oh, yeah.
Blake Bortles are going. Jay Cutler.
Tyler Palko.
Who is, well, this
he's like
list,
inhaling 8 cigarettes somewhere.
This listing, it's like former recent retired quarterbacks. What are they doing now? Some are like coach, doing business, analyst. Jay Cutler's is just entrepreneur. And then the sub headline is Jay Cutler has started 2 businesses. Oh, wasn't he doing something with like chickens?
I don't know.
I don't know. Who else is on this list?
Who's the old Broncos quarterback who has like the mushroom farm now?
Plumber,
yeah.
Yeah, Jake Plummer. Yeah, that dude's tapped.
Brian Hoyer.
Hoyer be good. Hoyer looks like he's still slinging. He's still in good shape. How about Tony Romo?
He's in good shape. Like I feel like he'd probably be the best suited to suit up if he had to play tomorrow.
How about Tony Romo?
What do you tell the Colts?
Maybe Romo.
All
Someone
right,
responded Joe Montana to Doug's tweet. He quotes it. He goes, "He is 69 years old."
Ben's not a bad answer. Luck's not a bad answer if he's mentally up for it. Yeah. The crazy thing is, like, even though he's been out for 3 years, the obvious answer is Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Michael Vick.
How old is Vic now? Can Vic still move?
If he could,
if Mike Vick can still move, it's Mike Vick all day. But I remember he wasn't moving at the end of his career.
That's 1 year older than Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he hasn't played in 10 years. His last season was 20.
But he started at such an insane point. Like how is he worse than Phillip Rivers right now? I highly doubt it.
Well, I hope we find out. I genuinely hope.
I would love to see a Mike Vick Phillip Rivers combine right now.
I bet Vick can still run sub 540.
Oh yeah.
Like
he didn't throw with that cannon of an arm, dude. He'll be able to throw for the rest of his life until his shoulder physically gives out.
We're going to talk about Mike Vick's arm. The throw to Deshaun Jackson on Monday Night Football against Washington, to me, is pound for pound the most impressive throw in NFL history. On a rope,
love that take.
Downfield, right? Name a more physically. There's bigger throws. Like, it obviously wasn't in a big game or anything like that. Physically impressive throws. Can you think of a more physically impressive throw?
I mean, the Brady to Moss, it was incomplete, but the Brady to Moss in the Super Bowl was always up there.
But is that that's a lot? Like, you see guys throw that lob.
That's like the one that Mike Vick jumped out of his hand was insane. It literally just went
right.
Yeah.
The Brady one looked like he was kind of. It looked like a heave. The Mike Vick one, it just like blasted out of his hand.
The Brady one's up there. I get the Rodgers, one of those Rodgers Hail Marys where he's like fading away, but the Vic one to me, just like, because Taylor's right, the way that ball explodes out of his hand, you just don't see that. All right, we're getting.
I almost just pulled the Vic touchdown up on screen and realized that we probably would have had the entire channel.
Then we're gonna blow this whole hour, and it'll get dropped for copyright. So before Mike ruins the show, we'll wrap it up here. And I think it's Mike's turn to go first too. Give me a thought on Patriots Bills. We'll Patriots beat Patriots daily. We'll have our game preview shows later in the week, so we'll do a full breakdown then for you. But just big week. This is the biggest Patriots game. I think even more so than the playoff game. This is the biggest game since Brady left. I know people will say Brady returning was a huge game. That was a unique, emotional night. It was also week 4 against a non-conference opponent.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was a very emotional game. The stakes were not that significant. I know there was a playoff game. The Patriots the Patriots shouldn't have been there. 2, like the entire starting defense had COVID. Their starting corners in that game the next year were backups in spring football. Like they just didn't have the horses. So biggest Patriots game maybe in 5 years. Mike, give me a thought.
Yeah. Taylor, when we did our pregame show a couple weeks ago, and we asked this question, biggest game in recent Patriots history, was it the Jets Thursday night football game that we were talking about?
Yeah, because it was prime time.
Yeah, like this like quadruples that. I mean, the Jets stink. The Bills are the cream of the crop in the AFC East right now, or they have been for the last 5 years. So this is the barometer now to figure out if this team is legit. And we've talked about it all year long, right? That first Bills game was the first one. It's at Buffalo. It's the beginning of this sort of run here. And, you can win games like that when you're a decent team up and coming, and then you kind of, fall down the stretch. The Patriots haven't done that yet. They've aced every single test to date. They hit the Bucs game. They've hit the even that Giants game, Taylor, we talked about it a lot, thinking that was a sneaky upset alert. And they've passed every test so far. So it's going to be a challenge. I think when we talk about the rest of the league and where the Patriots sit in the AFC, it's Buffalo who is the that North Star. I know that we don't like using that term anymore. That was a Mayo Patriots term, but they're the North Star in the AFC right now. And I'm just excited because I'm excited to see what the stadium's like and kind of how the how the energy feels at that place. But no, this is it, and this is what's going to determine whether or not you are a legit Super Bowl contender or not.
Brian,
you have to stop the run, and we've been talking about the issues with the run game the last few weeks. Tonga was at practice. He looked like he would have been limited today, but maybe that's some improvement because getting him back would be huge. But this Bills offense has like 4 plays. It's mesh, it's 2 runs to James Cook, or it's Josh Allen going sicko mode on offense. So you have to stop James Cook. You have to stop the run game. And if you do that, these Bills wide receivers are not threatening. You saw the Patriots kind of bring the fight to them in that week 5 game. So you have to stop the run. I think that's where it all starts. And if you shut down James Cook, I think they will have a good chance to win this game.
I'll just add to that, Taylor, before we get to you. I get that Bills game was really the national coming out party for Drake Maye. Like that was when this all hit that next gear and Drake Maye became Drake Maye, if you know what I mean. So it maybe didn't get enough attention coming out of that game. And I guess I understand why, but like Milton Williams was so freaking good in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And he was hurt too. He was playing hurt and he was so good against the run, against the pass. He was a big part of the reason they contained Allen in that run game as much as they did. They're obviously not going to have him. So that's the biggest difference. I know Vrabel got asked today about it. Like how viable is the tape from that game and how much can you take from that? The biggest difference between week 5 and now for either side is the Patriots not having Milton Williams. I think that's the biggest gap to overcome. Taylor, what's your early thought here on this game?
I think they got to run the ball. Obviously, stopping the run is huge, but also I think you need to continue to build positive momentum with your ground game. This is another great opportunity because most of the run defenses you're going to see the rest of the season suck. And if you want to beat Josh Allen, really great way to do it, especially when it's 20 degrees, keep his ass on the sideline. So make sure you can run the ball, kill clock, have this be one of those games where you literally are just lining up heavy, punching them in the mouth, getting 3-4 yards, occasional 5-6, and you are draining it until the play clock gets to around 10. Like, I want this game to end fast, and I think that they're going to understand you have Drake Maye, and I don't think the Bills really want to get into a shootout, but also look what just happened where, you make a couple mistakes and let him into a game that looked like it was about to be a blowout for the other team. So I think running the ball is going to be huge, not just for the outcome of this game, but I also think for the confidence of this offensive line, knowing you put some more good things on tape. And even Mike Vrabel, I think, acknowledged on the radio, on the Greg Hill show today, that their combos are getting better. And I think you do see that. Like, you can see there's incremental growth. And it may never be perfect, but this is another week where you got to start building that positive momentum and get Ramondre going, especially because, like you said, Alex, he was running really hard last week. I mentioned it to him after the game, and he acknowledged as much. So I'm safe. I'm okay.
Yeah. Adam Schefter, by the way, with an update. Well, the Colts need to work out Phillip Rivers to see what type of shape he's in. The former quarterback who is now a grandfather also needs to figure out whether he's willing to play per source. For now, he's
That
is he the only
awesome.
grandfather?
Is that
in
the
the league?
I was going to
first
say, how
grandfather?
many grandfathers have played in the NFL?
How old is he?
Maybe, back when guys used to play into their 50s, maybe there's one, but
So-
I need the stat on that.
Someone said Colts starting center Tanner Bortolini was born June 2002. Phillip Rivers' oldest child was born 1 month later. So
He's the same age as Riley Leonard, or
Yep.
one of Rivers' kids is the same age as Riley Leonard. Yeah, it's nuts. You guys all make good points there. People who've watched this show for a long time know I love a good short in the game plan. Brian, I kind of reacted to yours with stopping the run of Milton Williams. Mike, for Drake Maye, I mean, this is, you want to win the MVP. It's this week and now next week in prime time. Here you go. National stage, 2 weeks. This is your chance to go out and claim it. So the other take I'll give, is Stephon Diggs? Well, I think Stephon Diggs has been good this year. I think he's reached expectations. He's been a little quieter the last couple of weeks. That's come with the reduction in his snaps. I think they're getting careful about managing him, and they want him full go for the playoffs. I know it's not in Buffalo, but Stephon Diggs was like a legendary level of just pissed off and locked in that Week 5 game. Do we get that Stephon Diggs again? That would be awesome. We've seen what he's done in Patriots-Bills games at Gillette Stadium before. Now, J.C. Jackson's not going to be on the other side, but I don't know that an old Tre'Davious White gives you much more than that. Can we get that version? And that, you know what? If he gives you that, I'm good. Like, shut him down for the year. I'll see you in the playoffs, right? You really shouldn't need him to go nuts like that to beat Baltimore. Is there one more massive Stephon Diggs game left this season? And if there is, I would think it's going to be this one, right? So
Regular season.
Thank you, Taylor. Regular season. Is there one more massive? He's going to go nuts in the Super Bowl. We all know that. Is there going to be one more massive Stephon Diggs regular season game? And it would be great if it could be this one. So that's my thought. But we'll have more previews for you throughout the week here on the Patriots Press Pass channel. Mike and Taylor, you guys back tomorrow?
Yeah.
We have that interview dropping tomorrow that Taylor mentioned with Cody Alexander, and then we'll figure out. We may go live, we may not. We got to talk about it, but there will definitely be at least some sort of Patriots Daily episode.
So keep an eye out for that. This is going to be me and Brian's early week episode. We'll be back on Thursday, breaking down Patriots Bills. Probably talk a little college football playoff as well. In the meantime, subscribe. Patriots Press Pass. Patriots.
Shout out
CLNS.
Nelson.
Shout out Nelson for getting those Omaha steaks. I didn't
Good
want to
stuff.
read that because I'm very hungry and I don't want to think about steaks right now. But I'm going to go eat dinner, so we're going to wrap it up there. So for Brian Hines, for Taylor Cowles, for Mike Kadlick, I'm Alex Barth. Thanks for tuning in to this Phillip Rivers reaction show with some other stuff sprinkled in, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye.
See ya.